watching Sunday Sound Off with Frank Boal.
Welcome back to Sunday Sound Off, and our first hot topic of the night. Who does the Big 12 target for expansion? TJ, this is a big topic all week on sports radio. What are your thoughts here for the Big 12?
I think they need to target Bill Hancock and everybody else involved with the college football playoff and potentially expanding it, because that is the only way that the Big 12 is ever going to potentially survive. If the playoff stays at 4, the longer it stays at 4, the less likely that the Big 12 will remain in existence, because that will expedite the process of 4 super conferences of 16 teams each. Look, I think Dan Wetzel wrote a very good piece this week about the Biltmore and the Fiesta Summit and basically the cronyism that currently exists between the bowl executives and college administrators, because they send them out to this really nice resort in the desert and they get to play golf and have a weekend with their family. And it's amazing to me that that's basically how college administrators make decisions and get this bogus study done out there that they effectively wasted, I don't know how many thousands of dollars to tell them that 12 is better than 10, which we already knew. So I think that they need to work on expanding the college football playoff much more than their own conference. That's how they stay alive.
That's an interesting concept, Blair.
Let's see, the target for expansion: Notre Dame, Florida State, Clemson,
BYU, of course,
Arizona State.
That's
but
right.
They're not going to get.
We need 3 time zones in this conference. Come on.
They're not going to get any of those. So the correct answer is none of the above. There is not a school out there that would bring any brand value to the Big 12. If the Big 12 wants to expand, the only reason to expand would be to generate some more income and revenue for the conference, and that would be to have a conference championship game in football. They don't want to do it as a 10-team league where you'd have a first and second place team meeting in a game in Dallas in the first Saturday in December. It would come from 2 divisions, but let's just say let's just, for the sake of argument, say Cincinnati and Memphis are the 2 teams. If that was the case, the Big 12 would give up complete round-robin scheduling in football and in men's basketball, double round-robin in men's basketball. That means we would lose potentially regular season games like Kansas State, Oklahoma, for Oklahoma-Memphis. Is that what we want? Is that what the Big 12 wants? They got to think long and hard about whether they want to expand.
Saran?
Look, I think if you're going to do it, you go big or you go home. I think first thing they got to do, if they're going to do it, is they got to decide, are they going to go Eastern and Central time zone, or are they going to go Central and Mountain West? I think the quickest, easy answer would be to go East and grab Cincinnati, Memphis, South Florida, Central Florida, those types of schools. And I think you got to go to 16. I don't think there's any point in messing around at 12. Be the first one to 16. Grab the best schools that you can grab right now. Personally, though, I would go to the Mountain time zone. I think the Eastern schools have been picked over. I think the growth in this country is South and West. So I think you head out to Colorado State's, BYU's, Boise's. I think if you can set yourself up to 14 good schools in the West, maybe then you can sell the Arizona schools on coming to a conference that's Mountain and Central time zone. I think it's a long shot either way. I tend to agree with TJ that at the end of the day, this conference isn't going to survive. If it does, it'll be what's left over, and to have something good that's left over for the Iowa States and potentially K-States that don't get picked up by one of the bigger conferences, the best thing is to get to 16 right now, and I say go West, not East.
All right, here's our second hot topic of the evening. Are college football satellite camps a good idea? Of course, Jim Harbaugh leading the charge here. Blair?
Leading the charge and bringing that charge to, was it to Blue Springs or to
Blue Springs South?
Yeah, to the Kansas City area with one of his satellite camps coming soon. So, look, I think the bottom line for me is satellite camps are a good idea. They just haven't been administered properly, and I am all for kids getting exposure, and this is a way for kids to get exposure and to be seen by not just one team, one school, but by several coaches from different schools in one place. It's a good idea. It's really good for the marginal type of prospect, not the 4- and 5-star guy who's going to have his choice of big programs to attend, but the guy who's not that level of prospect. And so it's a good. The satellite camps are a good idea. What's not good about them, though, is having the schools decide where they go and when they go. I think they should be conference administered. I think each of the major conferences should determine places within the conference footprint and decide where those satellite camps should be, and let's go from there. Because does Michigan need to be in 9 different places? Does TCU need to partner with USC to have camps in Texas? That's what we're getting.
Saran?
I think, as often is the case, the devil's in the details here. How are they going to run it? And I think that's a lot of what Blair was talking about. Look, right now you've already got these, high school combines that go on where kids and families pay money. They're paying people to make videotapes of them, YouTube videotapes to get them out there. And so money's being made elsewhere by people trying to promote these kids. If you have the satellite camps and a kid can get in front of Jim Harbaugh and maybe get a scholarship to Michigan instead of his family paying hundreds and even thousands of dollars for guys on the side to make videos or hold these combines for kids to try to get them noticed, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But again, at the end of the day, the devil's in the details. Let's see how they're going to do this.
TJ?
A lot of times it's about who you're allied with, whether or not you like an idea or not. Satellite camps come down to this. If you're in the South, you hate it, because that's where all the talent is. If you're in the North or the West, outside of California, or in the Big 12, you like the idea because it means that you can now go into SEC country and tap into a very good talent pool. It's kind of like this. You've got a couple of really nice steaks. You want to grill them up, and then somebody else is allowed to come into your house and then eat those steaks. So if you have the talent, you don't like this. I think that there do need to be restrictions on the specifics, especially signing the number of coaches from a school that can go to a satellite camp on another campus and coach as a guest. But ultimately, I think that a little bit of redistribution of talent is ultimately good for college football, but it's bad for the SEC.
Our final hot topic is MU athletics being run by the athletes. They have another protest on campus. This time it's the women's softball team about their coach and the use of his language during practices. Soren, what do you think?
Again, this is another one. Let's see how it happens. But there's no doubt that this softball team is empowered by what happened last fall. I mean, I think if you're an athlete at Mizzou, you got to feel like, look, we can make a stand. Now, I'll give them credit. They're not striking. They're not boycotting. They put a sign up. Let's keep in mind, this is very different than racing to help somebody on day 2 of a hunger strike or the different things that were going on with the Missouri team and threatening to not play. It's also a lower revenue sport. But I think we'll see where it goes from here. I think protests happen all the time. I think it's a bigger deal when it happens in Mizzou. I don't know, maybe a team has posted some little bulletin before they've played in college lacrosse a week ago, but it didn't happen at Mizzou, so it wasn't a big deal. I think right now, it's too far to say that the inmates are running the asylum at Mizzou. Not yet, it isn't.
Okay, TJ?
I feel like this is a fairly unprecedented thing that we're seeing. We're seeing, I feel like the first time, Blair, maybe you can correct me on this, it's happened more often than I think, but for the first time, we're seeing emboldened student athletes openly criticize their own athletic administration and athletic director by name because they don't feel like he's doing a good job. Anytime that happens, I feel like, especially in a leadership vacuum like there is at Missouri, there is certainly a possibility for major cultural and systemic issues to come up. And I think that's what we're seeing at Missouri right now. Everybody's mad at everybody, and I don't really see a road to the two sides coming together anytime soon again.
Blair, you got a minute.
Well, it is happening in different places throughout college sports. At Missouri, it's magnified because of what happened 6 months ago with the football team. In this case, there appears to be an internal conflict with the Missouri softball program, and that the whole thing started because apparently some players on the Missouri softball team didn't like the way they were being treated by the coach and decided to go through the proper channels. That is, complain to or at least bring their concerns to athletic administrators. Athletic administrators opened an investigation, talked to members of the softball team, and apparently several members of the softball team didn't like that was happening. So they decided to announce that they were protesting a game on Saturday. So in essence, it seems to me that there's an internal conflict here on the Missouri softball team and that some teammates may be throwing others under the bus here, which is not a healthy situation at all. Let this run its course.
All right, up next, we're going to get some final thoughts from the panel. It's their time to sound off on anything that's on their minds. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.